Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Nikki Talks Food. Today we are going to be cutting up this chicken, and we're going to be cutting it up American Culinary Federation ACF competition style. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that our chicken is dry, and a air-chilled chicken can be found. If you're competing, you can buy an air-chilled chicken at like Whole Foods or something like that. It just has a dry skin, which makes a crispy skin, and it works better. But you know, for your run-of-the-mill chicken, you're gonna want to dry it off so it doesn't slip around your board. So the first thing we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to cut out the wishbone, which is right here. It's basically the collarbone of the chicken. In a turkey, it runs the same way. It's a V shape right here. It attaches right here at the top of the breastplate, and there's a little tiny bit of cartilage holding in place. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna take our boning knife. You need two knives for this. You need a boning knife, and I like to use my Santoku in order to kind of pop through some of the bones and cartilage. So we're gonna take our boning knife. We're gonna cut that wishbone out really quickly. So take our knife, and we're just gonna find that wishbone, and I can feel my knife blade running along the bone. So, and then we're gonna kind of pop through this little bit of cartilage right here. And the reason why we do this is because, and this one, the bone is already broken, so it's gonna come out in two pieces. So we're gonna kind of just wiggle it out. That is part of the wishbone. And the reason why we're taking the wishbone out is because it makes it easier down the line to fabricate the chicken breast into an airline breast. So here comes the other part of the wishbone, and we reserve that for stock. So if you're in a competition, you're gonna have to justify all of your scraps. So know that when the judge is coming, you know, he's gonna say, he or she, or they're gonna say, what are you gonna do with the bones? And you say, that's for stock, chef. You know, for the fat that you cut off, you would say that's for schmaltz. You know, little scraps. Tell them that it's for mousseline, to make for mousseline, you know, as a garnish for maybe, you know, like consomme or something like that. So you have to justify every bit of this chicken to the judges. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we are going to kind of dislocate the wing. And if you look right there, you can see that the chicken has lines all over it. So it kind of tells you where to cut it. So follow that line. So we're gonna make an airline breast, a perfectly Frenched chicken wing. So sometimes it'll just pop right off, and sometimes you have to kind of convince it. Everybody hates that sound. It's the worst sound in the world, but it's okay, we're chefs. And cut that off. So now we have the wing. You're gonna have to prepare it for stock. So you'll give it a chop, and that's prepared for stock. So that will go in your scraps for stock. The other wing, same thing. We're going to go ahead and take our knife, follow around the that line. And if you are competing, you're going to want to time yourself. And have a time to beat. You know, you have to have a goal. So if you are competing on a relay team, you're going to want to say, okay, that chicken took me 10 minutes, and I want it to take me, you know, 15 minutes. So you just keep having your goal to beat. So give that a chop. Now we have our chicken wing prepared for stock. Okay. And now we need to cut the tip of the wing off, because later when we cook our airline breast, it helps for the marrow to drain, so we don't have that little line of blood, and the judge doesn't say, oh, this is undercooked. So that can go for stock. Same thing with this tip right here. cut that little nugget off, and that can go for stock. Now we're going to take our legs and we're going to score just at the bottom of the drum, and that will just be useful to us later, not right now. We're not going to be fussing too much with that, but it is helpful later down the line. So here we go. We are scoring the chicken leg. Okay, so now we have Frenched wings, and that will help us later on when we make our airline, airline breasts. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to address the thighs and the legs. So we're going to make a little score, and then we're going to dislocate the hip bone. If you can see right there, it just popped right out. And then we're going to go along, and this is, we want to take out the oyster. That is very important for the judges to see that you can remove the oyster very clean. They're going to inspect your carcass, and they're going to want to see that you have the ability to do that. So we're going to run our knife along as close as we can get to the back. And now there's no big mystery to getting that oyster out. The way that I do it is I've already exposed that hip joint. So after you pop through that little bit of cartilage, the very next thing, if you can see that, the very next thing is the oyster. It just popped, and now I take my knife and I liberate that little part. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to rip it. I'm just going to rip it, away from itself, and that oyster is going to come out hopefully clean. Give it a little help. But see that? That is a clean hip socket. That is the oyster is totally clean out of there, and it is attached to our chicken right here. Here's our oyster. So the judges want to see that as well. So we'll deal with that piece a little bit later because we still need to French the chicken legs and all that kind of stuff. So now we do the other side, and we go around the same way. Oops. And we just kind of loosen that skin and pop the hip bone out and kind of loosen that away. And now we take our knife and we run it along as close to the backbone, again, as possible, because we do not want to lose very much meat, because that is, parts, that points off on your butchering skills. So we take our knife and we pop through, and then pop through that little hip bone and the joint there, and then I'm gonna loosen that up a little bit, and then again we're just gonna rip it away, and there is our clean oyster. Okay, both oysters are clean, and they're attached to there's the oyster right there, attached to the thigh. All right, so we're gonna deal with this one later as well. Okay, you always want to keep your proteins on ice. The judges want to see that. Okay, that's part of sanitation. So you need to have all of your chicken bones and your chicken parts that you're not dealing with right now need to be on ice. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut the backbone out. We're going to go through, and we're just going to, and this is why I like to use my Santoku, because it's kind of shorter. Oops. Helps me give it a chop. Okay, and now that is loosened up, and now we have just the backbone. So now the judges want to see you prepare the back for stock. So what you would do is you would take the fat off, the skin, and then you're going to divide the backbone into 3 parts, and that will be in your stock with your stock bones. Okay, now we need to address the breast. Okay, So we're just going to chop right here on the two sides of the keel bone, okay? And we're just going to kind of be a little bit aggressive, and one swift chop, go in there and cut down. Same thing on this side, cut down. Then what we do is the keel bone is attached by another little tendon, and we're going to just kind of liberate it. And what I do is, I'm a righty, so I put my left hand against the chicken breast and I loosen that up a little bit. And I pull with my right hand, and I just pull that keel bone away from the protein, from the meat. And then it should come out pretty clean. Okay, that's the keel bone, and that again will go for stock as well. So you put that with your stock. Next, we can totally separate the full breast and make it, into two. The next thing we need to do is slide our boning knife right underneath the breastplate that's left over. And then what we can do is just turn the breastplate over and scrape away the meat, so we have a clean breastplate, and that will also go for stock. This is a gigantic chicken, so I suggest using a smaller chicken, just so that it's not so ginormous. On these big grocery store ones, they tend to be too big, and then the breast does not cook as fast as the thigh and the leg, and you end up with too much breast meat, and you end up with the cook times are wrong, okay? Like this one is gigantic, so. All right, so now we have the tenderloin that just comes out. Just pull that away. Okay, and actually we have both tenderloins right there. You can take the tenderloin if you want to be really meticulous, and you can get that little tendon there, sinewy bit. And what we do is we find it, loosen it up, and then we just take our knife and we scrape away the rest of the protein. Now I have that tendon, and this guy's full of collagen. That makes good stock. So, and now we have a clean chicken tender. This guy doesn't have one. So, back to our chicken breast, and we can see we have the airline breast. We have our our bone, and we have a line right here where we can see the separation of the muscle. Okay, so what we do is we take our knife, and now we have a boneless breast. And I'm going to show you the goal in a little bit. Now we have a bone-in, Frenched, half of the breast here. Okay, we're going to deal with that in a little bit. Okay, same thing on this side. We slide our knife up underneath the breastplate. Okay. Scrape away the muscle from the bone. And always use the tip of your boning knife. Just find the edge of the bone and scrape away the meat, and then that way the bone comes out clean, and you don't have to say, "Oh, chef, I half the meat is still on the bone." So that goes for stock. And now we have our clean chicken breast. We'll just kind of clean up this little part right here, and again, we will do the same cut here. We're going to cut this chicken along that line. Okay, so now we have a clean chicken breast, no skin. I'm sorry, no bones, and we have our bone-in airline, top of our airline breast. All right, so now we're going to deal with our dark meat. Okay, clean up this board a little bit. So here's another line right here. Can y'all see that? Okay, so we're gonna cut along the line, and we're gonna separate the leg from the thigh. Same thing over here. Okay, leg from the thigh. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the bone, the thigh bone, with the tip of our knife, and we're just gonna make a little slit here. Okay, so we're just gonna expose the bone. Now I go underneath the bone with my knife, and then I scrape away what's left. And I can find the cartilage, because I don't want that hanging around, but there is my thigh bone, one of my thigh bones. There's a big chunk of cartilage right there, so I'm gonna get rid of that. That can go for stock as well, because that is full of collagen, makes for beautiful stock. Okay, now we have a bone out thigh. Same thing, we expose the thigh bone. Okay, and then we go up underneath, and then we scrape the thigh bone away. And then there is our thigh bone. And again, we have a clean thigh with no bone. Now we deal with, this is the easy part. Now we deal with our chicken leg. And all we're gonna do is give it, oops. Okay, that goes for stock. And now we have a bone-in leg. Cut off the top so that allows for the marrow to drain, so we don't have a bloody bone. Same thing for here. Clean it away. And this is a good tutorial for those of y'all that are training for your CECs or any kind of certification with the ACF. This is I did this exact method for my CEC exam, and I passed, so there you go, kids. All right, so let's clean up this board. And I'm gonna show you the finished product. So what we have is a bone out, let's see here. Find all my chicken parts. And we need our breast. Okay, so bone out white meat, bone in dark meat. Bone out white meat, bone in dark meat. Then we have bone out dark meat, bone in white meat. Bone out dark meat, bone in white meat. So you get four portions of chicken that are, one's bone out, one's bone in, one is light, one is dark. 4 portions out of one chicken, and they look the same. They have the same aesthetics because you have the French bone and then the French bone. The portion sizes are pretty much the same. Like I said, this is a gigantic chicken, so the breasts are just ridiculously huge. But I would get, like an organic Whole Foods chicken or something like that, and it'll be much smaller and much normal looking. But that's the goal right there. That is the goal. Okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and good luck.